Yeah, but you know it's actually pretty warm this morning. But
you can see the coffee pretty good though.
yeah, well it was 12 degrees though, so that's a.
It was 12.
It was 12 this morning when I came out to get the fire going. It was 12 degrees out.
We got up to a solid 30 yesterday. I drove my dog around the back of my truck. She baked me.
I know. Today it's supposed to get up to 33, I think. Just above freezing. It's good. But, you know, it's... You know, one time I've been out in way cold, though. Way cold hunting.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't fun. It's... I think it was last year, maybe, me, Colin, and Austin Shockey, we went coyote hunting out by Parshall, and
Cold.
We got out to our spot, and my stomach got upset. I don't know why. It just ran looked at me in the middle of a field, and it hurt. You couldn't take. I mean, the gloves didn't help much, but
Right.
it hurt to have your hands out.
So last summer, when I started work, I finished school 2 weeks before you guys did. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to work, and it snowed that first week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my very first day on the job, we had to go run our irrigation ditches. That was cold.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Because I wasn't expecting it to snow, so
Yeah.
I was just dressed like I was ready for work, and it was way too cold for that.
Yeah. Well, and I finally kind of got gear, equipment that keeps me warm. I got a new pair of boots this year, and gloves that keep me warm.
I finally
Coat.
got those new boots, those redhead boots. Those are nice.
Yeah, it's important to have good stuff. Otherwise, you're just
Wasting your time.
yeah. There's times where it's too cold to be a man and be out there trying to tough it out without gear. It's no good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I mean, I guess it's one thing is hunting. There's a lot of challenges. Some
Yes.
more than others, but and today we were thinking about talking along the lines of adversity, both on the hunt and in life. So, but yeah, so that's. I guess we'll share some stories later on about some times where it wasn't as fun being out hunting, doing a hobby. Wasn't as fun as you would have thought it would have been, but
Never thought I'd say that.
yeah. But yeah, so during a hunt, there's a lot of struggle, and I broke the hunt down into 4 main parts, which I'll talk about in a second, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of struggles and tribulation whether it be getting to the spot or, just doing stuff once you're at the spot,
Right.
because it's,
Actually finding the animal.
yeah. Yeah, that's a challenge, and then shooting, the easy part, and then everything else after that, getting it out.
Yeah.
But so
That's when the fun begins.
oh yeah, skinning and
Mm-hmm.
field dressing and doing all that mess. And I guess I'll go into let's start with talking about the 4 main parts that I kind of had written out here. So my first part to the hunt, called the pursuit,
Yeah.
and that's that entails like getting to your spot, finding a spot, finding game, just
Right.
get all that set up. You gotta set up the right situation. You gotta find where you're gonna go. I mean, the pursuit can honestly include like weeks before the hunt, just
Mm-hmm. Preparing
planning,
for it.
figuring out what you're gonna do.
Makes sense.
And then the second part I had was after all that's done, and you found the game, is the kill. That's kind of the easy, like found them, that part's over with, and then you got the kill, where you harvest the animal. And feels good. You down an animal, you know you got it.
Mm-hmm.
But then that leads to the third part, the retrieval.
Oh yeah.
That includes a lot different situations and scenarios, I guess.
Told you about my elk last year, yeah, or this year.
I don't think so, no.
Shot it from about 300 yards away. Watched it die. Turned around for just a second. Turned back around. Took us an hour to find the elk. I watched it lay down and I still couldn't find it.
You lose sight of it,
Yep.
and it's gone. You'll be looking forever. Yeah, because that's my deer 3 years ago, I think. I shot it, and yeah, you know, good shot, got him, and then turned back around, and it was in the sage somewhere, couldn't find it. I was walking through, thought I followed a blood trail, I followed it, lost it, veered off to the right, was going up this hill looking, it's like, oh, surely she didn't bounce back up, and then my dad's over here, like 30 yards from where I am, like, hey, we got it.
A couple years ago, we went archery hunting, me and my dad did. And the deer, it was a super easy shot. It was like the first deer of the morning. It wanted to get shot, I'm pretty sure. But we shot it and we chased it through the trees for the longest time. And we finally just found it standing there.
Yeah.
Because, you know, with archery, it dies from blood loss, not shock. So it was still alive. And we shot it again. She fell maybe 10 yards from there.
Well, I don't know if you've seen that video, that guy that shot that elk with a bow, and what you were saying about blood loss and how it hit, and it just, like, he stood there, bull elk, and then it just started going. Yeah, that's one thing. They're tough animals, tough creatures, especially elk, cow elk.
Yeah.
I was on a hunt a few years ago, and this guy shot an elk, hit it, stood there, put, I don't know, 7 or 8 rounds into it, and it just stood there. They're tough. They'll get hit, and they'll just stand there and wait. They don't want to weaken, and eventually it gets to him. But yeah, we're ridge across, looking at him. And we're like, what's he doing? Like, why is he shooting so many times? We're like, then when the shooting finally stopped, we gave him a hard time. We're like, hey, did you run out of shells or what? He shot so many dang times, and yeah, they're tough creatures. But so the fourth part I had to the hunt was, I titled it this, The Long Hard Process of Making Use.
Yeah.
It's a long title, but it's true.
Yep.
A long hard process. You know, it takes a lot of time to make use of an animal, and that takes a lot of work too. You know, fleshing those beavers, that's starting to burn.
Oh yeah.
And that's the hardest part of the hunt, I'd say, is once you've retrieved it, you got all that done, then you got a full day of work ahead of you.
Yep. Honestly though, like, after you spend the time hunting them down, killing them, dragging them out, you know, by the time you get all the meat and the hide and whatever you're going to use, it's kind of rewarding.
That's, speaking of what rewarding, that's what my next point was, is how the reward of the hunt is well worth the trouble. It's, you get it out, you get a beaver out of the water, you may be stuck on the ice for an hour and a half or so in the dark alone, -10 and wet, but you get it out, late to practice, run a little because you're late, it's worth it. I got to practice after getting that one out, and I had a little bit of running to do. But
was this football or basketball?
Basketball last year.
Oh.
And I got stuck in the water on the little blow up kayak. But it was worth it. Yeah, and that's what I was gonna go into, kind of, is how the reward is worth the trouble. Man, that's kind of ties into life, like the rewards with the trouble. We kind of touched on it a little bit, how in the moment it's tough, but in the end it's worth it. And so we have a
Yep.
few verses, we're gonna go into. Let's see. Yeah, and all these verses have something in common, which is kind of a note I left. So I guess we'll go to the first one, and you could open that if you want.
Are they in here?
They're in there. Yeah, I just wrote them down. In
Which
case.
one?
Well, you go to 1 Peter 1:7. Oh, go just open to the front page. It'll be right there. First chapter. It'll be there. Okay. It's the adversity section.
Nice.
1 Peter 1:7 should be one of them first ones.
Do you want me to read first?
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. These tests have come to prove your faith and to show that it is good. Gold, which can be destroyed, is tested by fire. Faith is worthy much more than gold, and it must be tested also. Then your faith will bring thanks and shining greatness and honor to Jesus Christ when he comes again.
So that's a good way to start off. That's
a solid verse.
Yeah, and your tests and trials
Right.
will,
He's gonna put us
that
to
tests
the
how
test.
strong you are. That test, that shows that's true.
How we face adversity.
Yeah, and people say, when they're going through a hard time or something, it's like people say it shows the best of the person when they're at their lowest point. I've heard that around. And there's some truth to that, when you're going through hardship, how you handle that is a true test of.
Yep.
And like hunting, when you're having trouble, it seems hopeless maybe to get the animal and stuff like that. You're carrying beaver up the hill, forearms are burning, it's dark, you think you'll never get it, but if you just, don't give up, then the reward is worth the trouble.
Right.
And that shows also, how tough you are in the hunting world, I guess, but then also for that, it tests your faith. Your test will prove how faithful you are. And like fire, like steel and fire, you got to go into the fire to get strengthened, as military uses it.
Right.
It's a good analogy. And so yeah, that was the first verse I was thinking we'd go into, and then I got the next one, Luke 6:22. Blessed are you when people hate you, and when they exclude you and revile you, and spurn your name as evil on account of the Son of Man.
So, aren't you just a little ray of sunshine?
Well, the reason I wanted to talk about that verse is, it's somewhat along the lines of persecution.
It is.
And you're doing something right in the name of Jesus if people hate you for it.
Yep.
And
saying go against them, and you'll be blessed for it. Makes sense.
Yeah. So Jesus, you're doing it right if people hate you because of your love of God. And let's see.
I feel like that happens a lot in everyday society nowadays.
Yeah, and the next verse goes on, 23, says, "Rejoice in that day and leap for joy, for behold, your reward is great in heaven, for so their fathers did to the prophets." So that's also that kind of, reward.
Mm-hmm.
There's reward at the end of the struggle.
Exactly.
So that's just like our hunting talk, and just like the other verses I have written down here. Reward is worth the trouble.
Exactly.
Always. And then I was talking with Carson Colbreth. We'd like to hang out with him. He's a good friend of ours, and I was talking with him about Summit. I was like, oh yeah, you should tell people about this. And there's Bring Your Bible to School Day, stuff like that. Just encouraging him to do stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, well, I'll support your podcast and summit, but I'll probably get 2 weeks suspension for bringing up religion. And I was like, well, you know what? Good for you. I'll take you to a movie or something.
Yeah. Right.
If you get suspended for, promoting faith, that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I told him, I was like, I would probably be in trouble a lot in Summit.
Probably.
Because I have my Bible on me at school every day, just in case I need to, refer to a verse. But
Right.
I was like, I would more than likely be in the principal's office most of my time there.
Yep.
Because
It's pretty sad that happens.
Yeah, honestly, and I'm not gonna.
And especially in a nation under God.
Yeah. And it's just people turn offense and differences into hatred. Like they translate it. You don't agree with me, or you don't support what I'm doing. You must hate me.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go more into depth in that. There's some controversial subjects along those lines that I really would like to talk about. We don't want to, ultimately we don't want to scare people off because we talk about controversial subjects. We just want to.
These are everyday things that everybody goes through. So.
Well, and if we can maybe help people understand,
Mm-hmm.
kind of give a better look at things, more
Yep.
biblical perspective of things. But yeah, one thing along the lines of hatred is a little while back, Drew Brees with the Bring Your Bible School Day presentation and all the stuff behind it, the organization, Focus on the Family, it's a great organization.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the stuff behind that, because they have a biblical perspective on homosexuality, and people turned Drew Brees filming that as hatred and towards that community. So we'll talk more about that. And like we said, we don't want to sway anybody, but we just want to
Yep.
give a more neutral look at it.
Right.
More biblical look at it, if you will. So, I don't know, we could read another verse, I guess. They're all good verses. So,
Let's do it.
Romans 8:18. Do you want to pull up or go back into that adversity section? There's 1 Peter 4:14.
Okay.
Romans 8. All right. You want to go first or you want me to go?
You can go.
All right, Romans 8:18. It's I think the titles of the sections are very important too.
Right.
And this is future glory, so that's reward.
Yeah.
For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us.
It's said right there.
Well, I
We
mean,
could
that's-
stop right there and be done.
Yep. Honestly, cut the film.
Yep.
That's literally saying the glory that you will receive.
It's better than the adversity now.
Better, the adversity doesn't even compare
Right.
to the glory. Like, that's, that says it blandly.
Yeah.
What we've been talking about this whole time. The trouble and tribulation doesn't even compare to the glory we'll receive.
Yep.
In Jesus' name.
That's pretty exciting in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, to know that comes straight out of the Bible,
Yep.
that's definite reassurance. It's funny how it all ties together. Every single verse, totally different parts of the Bible.
Nothing contradicts
And they
itself.
all have the same exact interpretation.
Yep.
If you look at it properly.
It's exciting.
It's crazy to think
I'm
about.
ready for it.
Yeah. You want to go ahead and read your verse?
Let me take a drink of coffee.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Coffee's always. Oh man, it gets me up in the morning.
Yes. Brian told me to stop drinking coffee as much because it dehydrates you and then your body retains water more. So you keep weight on. I still drink an entire pot.
Do we need to think we ought to feed the fire?
Yeah, might as well.
Well, folks, we're feeding the wood stove, and that's what keeps it warm in here. Oh yeah.
Flashback from 20.
Oh man, if I can reach the wood.
It's my flashback from a year ago today. That was my dog Cedar.
Oh yeah.
Man, I've had Instagram for a year then.
You know, on the social media stuff, I don't really like it. I never used it really until this.
Okay, well, it's kind of nice because
Oh,
when
man,
we
get
have,
a leg in here.
when we all want to get together and we text the Snapchat group chat,
Yeah.
and then you don't know what's going on because you're not on the Snapchat group chat anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry.
No,
It's
you're
just
not.
too much maintenance, you know, for me. I don't like
It's like streaks every day.
having to worry about getting back to people. But, you know, we're using social media for good now, if you will, for this podcast, I guess.
Influence.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
go ahead and read that verse.
Alright. If man speaks bad of you because you are Christian, you will be happy because the spirit of shining greatness and of God is in you. Nothing contradicts
Well,
itself.
Yeah. That was the verse we just read.
Pretty much.
Just
Just
different
worded
part of the
differently.
Bible.
Different part of the Bible. Yeah.
You know, people may say that's coincidence. I don't think it is, though. Had the same exact.
How could it be coincidence?
Exactly. Totally different parts. Different people. One message. Well, we got two more. If we want, pull ups in there. It should be 2 Corinthians 4:17. I got John. Book of John. That's always a good one. And
4:17.
yes. And speaking of John, I guess now would be a good time to talk about before we go into this next verse, because I'm sure it's going to have similar meaning to the ones we've read, which is awesome. But John, so the inspiration for this podcast was, if any of you seen Duck Dynasty, show Duck Dynasty, those guys, they're true men of God. They
Yep.
and they go around and they spread the word really well, and they have good messages. And you guys should check out In the Woods with Phil. That's on YouTube. It's great. He puts a really good understanding of things in today's society. Really good biblical perspective, which is kind of what we're trying to do here, because not everybody knows the people from Duck Dynasty as well as they know us. So that's really what we're doing here, and trying to. But they were our real inspiration. They have a podcast called Unashamed. Unashamed with Phil Robertson, and Jace and Al are on there. Two of the brothers, but they that was our real inspiration. I saw that podcast and thought, that'd be neat to do, you know.
Yeah.
'Cause they're good role models. They really set good examples. But right now they're going into the Book of John, and that Book of John's a good one to look into if you've never really read the Bible. I'd encourage you to look at John, because I don't know if you see here, it's a lot of red lettering.
Yeah.
Red lettering means Jesus said it, so
Exactly.
physically, so. But yeah, so that's kind of along with John. They're going into that on the Unashamed podcast, so go check that out. It's a good one. But so I guess now I'll read my verse, John 16:33. Let me find verse 33.
Thought you had it.
I did. It's right here. All right. I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart. I have overcome the world.
Yep.
There it is again. Same thing. And I also noted to recall from last time when we were talking about David and Goliath, that reassurance that he's overcome the world.
Oh, right. Yep.
He says it in different parts of the Bible.
Yep.
I've overcome the world. I've overcome the world.
Mm-hmm. And I like it how
That's not coincidental.
you're right. going back to that just a little bit, he's there. That kind of ties into what we're talking about this week in going through adversity in everyday lives, and how he has overcome.
We have that reassurance.
Right. And especially in this day and age,
Yeah.
we need it.
Oh yeah.
Because it's not the brightest world out there anymore.
No.
But
Yeah. Sin is starting to.
it's almost becoming normal for some people, which is sad to say.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. There's
under
lots.
God, we can see through that, and it might put us in the outcast, but it doesn't matter. Not right now.
Yeah, definitely. There's lots of evil in today's world. And
Yeah.
we'll go into maybe some more subjects along those lines in later episodes.
Right.
Save a few topics. Maybe bring a guest. Yeah, about the guest thing, we were gonna have one on. We just with the basketball and everything this weekend ended up running out of time, so
Yeah.
we'll figure it out
Busy
though.
weekend.
Yeah, always busy.
My weekend started on Thursday and went all the way through Monday morning, so
Yeah,
it was busy. It wasn't a fun weekend.
yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll get it. But yeah, so we'll talk about more issues in today's world and what people are dealing with.
Yep.
Evil of today, like we've been doing, try and give biblical perspective of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sickening to see some of the things that are going on, with, like abortion and stuff.
Yep. Well, not even that, but it's some of the other stuff, how it's just becoming people's normal.
Yeah,
Like adultery
yeah,
is considered a normal thing now.
yeah.
That's not cool.
No, and yeah, we'll definitely talk more about that and
Yeah.
certain stuff like that and give perspective on it.
Last verse.
Yeah, go for it.
The handy dandy notebook. The little troubles we suffer now for a short time are making us ready for the great things God is going to give us forever. I like that one the best, honestly.
Yeah,
I like how they worded that one the best.
forever.
Yep. Well, and then just the little sufferings, or the sufferings in the short time, are making us ready for the great things God is going to give us forever.
Puts a time frame on it.
Yep.
Shows you that, like the rope thing we talked about last time. Sufferings in this little bit
Yep.
aren't gonna compare to the rewards that you get for that little bit, for that big bit. But yeah, and he doesn't say the reward you'll receive when you go first. When you die, it's the rewards you'll receive forever with him.
Yep.
So that's
For eternity.
once again let's count this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 verses from 6. I guess 2 of them are from Peter. 6 verses from 5 different books of the Bible.
Yep.
And they all say the same thing. They all have the same meaning. They all give the same hope, the same reassurance.
Well, and just looking in this book, every single verse pretty much says the same thing, which
Yeah,
is so
and-
cool.
Well, that book that he's looking in it's called Book of Promises. It's just a little like one of those miniature Bibles kind of, but it has different sections and
Yep.
it pulls verses from the Bible about those different topics. So, yeah, it's a real handy book to refer to. If someone's like, oh, well, what about this or that? And then you just go to there
And
and
go to your table of contents.
there it is. Yeah, table of contents, there it is.
This is pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. But yeah, so along with hunting, the reward's worth the trouble. Trouble doesn't compare to the reward.
Right.
And same with life and being faithful.
Mm-hmm.
The reward is well worth the trouble, and the trouble doesn't compare to the reward.
Right. This is a pretty good analogy in my opinion. Because we go hunting season is a week and a half, 2 weeks, you know. Depending on what you hunt, I guess.
Mhm.
Beaver is a lot longer.
Big
You don't
game,
eat beaver.
mainly big game. It's a
Right.
few weeks.
But in my family, you know, we usually fill 4 or 5 tags, you know.
Hmm.
So it'll be 2 weeks of hunting and a lot of harvesting and a lot of dirty work, right?
Hmm.
But then we don't have to buy meat all
Exactly.
year long.
You just have
It'll
to
last us until next hunting season.
buy the ammunition,
Yep.
or in our case, buy another
Well-
freezer. We're gonna have freezer space with our, because we do 4-H pigs and
Well, I got 2 big freezers and 2 small freezers on top of refrigerators, and they're all full.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And one's got a turkey in it too.
You still got them brains in that one freezer too? That one fridge? That's taking up some space, I'm sure. Oh
I don't
man.
open that fridge anymore. It doesn't smell good.
Yeah. Oh. Speaking
right?
of smell, when we did in biology class, we were doing a dissection, but we did it about 2 or 3 weeks after beaver season ended, and we
What were you dissecting?
wanted to do a beaver, and so we shot one last day of season, threw it in the school fridge for 3 weeks. We put
Who was the teacher in that class?
Miss Birch.
What'd she think of that?
Oh, she's like, yeah, just throw enough rubbing alcohol in, it'll be all right. Punched a little hole, squeezed some rubbing alcohol. Whoo! It bled out a little bit all over the fridge, mixed with rubbing alcohol and beaver smell. It wasn't pretty, but
It doesn't sound like it.
we didn't want to waste it,
Nope.
so we used it. We dissected it. We got an A. And me and Gabe, and which he was gonna be. He was one of our guests that was gonna be on maybe today, but he got a concussion in basketball, so he's
Did you really?
yeah he
What
hit
did
his
he do?
head pretty hard on the ground. Went up and blocked a kid and came down and hit his head, and this is in the JV game, so yeah.
Ouch.
Yes, I mean, I think it's a good topic and really good comparison to hunting.
Mm-hmm.
We face things in hunting, but it's worth getting the animal, and same with life and faith.
Right.
Face trouble, but it's an honor to be persecuted in Jesus' name,
Yep.
because then you know you're doing something right. If people don't hate you for
At least once in your life.
at least once in your life, if people don't hate you for loving Jesus, then you may want to look at what you're doing.
Right.
But yeah, more stuff's coming. Definitely more hatred, more persecution. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk more about some stuff going on today in future episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Feel like
I feel like today was a good day.
yeah. Got a good baseline.
Yeah,
Can branch off of that from here.
I had a little bit of a plan today, kind of.
A little bit more organized today.
Yeah, but
Start the fire a little bit earlier.
it was a guided conversation. That's
Yep.
We had a little more guidance today. Well, yeah. Thanks for joining us again today on the No Game, No Shame podcast. Also, we're on Spotify now. If you haven't
Yeah.
seen our Instagram stories, but check out Spotify on our Instagram pages. There's a link, or there's a saved story titled Spotify, and you can click the link in there to go listen to them on Spotify. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have the full videos and audio. And then follow our Instagram pages to help promote this. And
We're all over the place now.
oh yeah,
You
we're
can
working.
reach us anywhere.
Oh yeah, stop us in school if you have any questions.
Yep.
If you go to school with us, and we're currently working on getting into Apple Podcasts, a
Yep.
podcast app on iPhone. So that'll be neat. We got a podcast submitted. It's under review right now. So
Cool.
all right. Thanks again, guys, for joining us, and see you next time.